Good day, dear representatives of mass media, dear citizens, dear voters. Now we are coming with new information, if we can put it like this, with new findings by the election observation mission of Promo-LEX. These findings refer to the period until 2 p.m. from the very beginning, when the polling stations were opened, and until 2 p.m., a number of 340 reports were received from Promo-LEX observers. 266 of them were processed as incidents, and this press release contains 211. So from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., we have 211 problematic situations or incidents related to the elections. With your permission, I will present them now. And I will give you some examples about what is happening and how the election day is taking place. So first, speaking about incidents, I will refer to observers' obstruction of their activity, and in this regard we have 3 cases reported by our observers, 2 in Istanbul, Turkey, and 1 case was reported by our observer from Kochiye, Transnistrian region, regarding rumors, attempts, or even situations of material rewards offered to voters within the area of the polling station in order to influence their choice. We have found 10 such cases during the period between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m., and I will give you a couple of examples in this regard. For example, in the vicinity of polling station 95 of Chisinau, Buyukani, the observer, staying close to the polling station, witnessed a phone discussion between a person traveling to the polling station to cast his vote with another person. The former explained to the other one that he's going to vote because a candidate offers €75 for one vote. Or another case in the Transnistrian region, polling station 30, around 9:30, 9:45 a.m., 5 units of transport of minivan and microbuses type were noticed. You will find the registration numbers in the press release. So according to the reported information, they belong to a contender, and people were promised 400 to 500 lei for voting. Another case in the Transnistrian region, when a person came to Promo-LEX observer and asked, "Are you paying me something for voting?" And also in the Transnistrian region, another incident, one voter mentioned that in the transportation unit with which it came, money is paid to vote for a certain contender. In Kochiyer, one voter was revolted because she did not have the seal applied in her insert to the ID card, and without it she will not get the money. When asked by Promo-LEX observer, she said that it was about 400 lei. And another incident, a voter came out of a transport unit from a public route, informed the Promo-LEX observer that he received 500 or 600 lei to vote for a certain contender. In Molovata Nova, around 10 a.m., about 23 cars were parked in the vicinity of the polling station, and he informed the observer that unless he has the seal applied in the ID card, he would not get the money. For clarity, I would like to mention that today, throughout the election day, we will not give names of electoral contenders. But in the report that will be published in the following days for the election day, the names of the contenders that were named in such situations will be made public. If you want, I can give you some other cases, but the list is quite long. There were cases in the Russian Federation. In polling station 30 at 10:20 a.m., a group of voters came to vote, And before entering the polling station, they were discussing with a certain person, asking him for what number in the ballot paper to vote for. And after leaving the polling station, they joined the same person, they came to the same person who gave them something, but our observers do not know exactly what they were given. In Speyer and Yaninoi also, there are some discussions that the mayor of the village is giving as a reward for voting for a certain contender a pint of beer at the mayor's bar. So the observer saw voters going to the bar, receiving a pint of beer without paying for it. Also, the observer overheard a discussion between some voters telling that if you vote for the right person, you will get a pint of beer free of charge. In Florești Sănătoca at 1 p.m., two people were discussing in the yard of the polling station at a distance of 7 to 10 meters from the polling stations that they are to get 200 lei for a vote. Regarding the organized transportation of voters, here we have 20 cases reported so far. So you know already that the phenomenon that we saw in 2019 with organized transportation by buses is not taking place anymore. For this election, the phenomenon is organized in a different way, using smaller transportation units, such as personal cars, taxis, minivans, and so on. Some examples in this regard. In the region of polling station 27 from Dorodskaya at 8 and 10 minutes a.m., a blue microbus was noticed transporting about 7 people. From the discussions near the microbus, it was understood that this is organized by an electoral contender and some other voters will be brought. In Criuleni, a taxi was noticed transporting repeatedly 4 to 5 people. In Transnistrian region, also transportation of voters from the left bank of the Dniester River was noticed by at least 25 microbuses and cars of Volkswagen Passat and Volkswagen Charan. Matriculation numbers are found in the report. According to the Promo-LEX observers, the number of persons transported is bigger than the number allowed. So if the vehicle has the capacity of 4 people, they transport 6 or 7 people. In another case, polling station 18, Transnistrian region, at 10 and 7 a.m., white Mercedes Sprinter transported 8 or 9 persons more than allowed. In another case, Vito Mercedes transported 7 persons more than allowed capacity, and so on and so forth. So overall, there are 20 cases reported. You will find all of the details in the report of the observation mission. Regarding unjustified termination or suspension of the voting process in polling stations, we have 3 such cases reported so far. Polling station 36 Rezina, polling station 54 Sângerei Prepelița, polling station 2841 Sângerei Izreni Veg. Restrict access to the polling station for voters who do not have a face mask. One such case was found. Regarding the suspension of the videotaping, the same problem that we have mentioned in the morning continues with the cameras. We have 21 such cases reported. It seems that there are some technical issues involved. Many cameras do not operate on a continuous basis. There are often interruptions. Many of them have not been charged perhaps, or the batteries are low, and because of that they do not shoot the electoral process on a continuous basis as requested by the law. Regarding campaigning or black PR within the area of 100 meters from the polling stations or even within the polling stations, 13 such cases were reported. I will give you just a couple of examples. Sângereni Copăceni, one person was campaigning within the polling stations in favor of a contender. Ceadărlunga Gagauzia, a voter stayed longer within the polling station in order to campaign for a certain contender, saying to everyone not to vote for men wearing lipsticks. The president of the bureau asked him to leave the polling station. Kausheni Furladeni voters, after leaving from the voting booth, go to the other persons, giving them indication for whom to vote. And there are many other cases in the report. Acts of violence or intimidation of voters or other persons. 7 such cases have been reported until 2 p.m. A couple of examples. Polling station 39, Kantemir Sadik, at 8:50 a.m. outside of the polling station, a conflict occurred between the observer of a contender and the member of the electoral bureau. The observer of the contender accused the member of the bureau for throwing a stone into him. In another case, Chisinau Center, a voter was not happy for the operator replying in Romanian, though the voter was a Russian speaker, so he asked to write a complaint. Polling station 35, Chisinau Botanica, when the observer of contender came to the polling station, he was insulted by the observer of another contender. As a result, a verbal conflict emerged between these two, and after the intervention of the PEB chairperson, the conflict was calmed down. Polling station 37, Transnistrian region, 2 voters called themselves bad names. The conflict was solved with the help of the police. In Italy, Mestre, polling station 38, voters did not agree with the long queues and they used bad words and aggressive words. Also, Italy, polling station 38, at 7:31 a.m., a number of PEB members were insulted, including the chairperson, because of the way the process was organized. Deficiencies in the electoral lists. In Chimishlia and Rishkan Chisinau, deceased persons were noticed in the polling stations. Polling station 1, Chisinau Buyukani, a voter could not find himself in the polling station, though according to the date of his ID card, he was supposed to be assigned to his polling station, and then the voter could vote on the additional lists. Polling station 291, Chisinau Staucheni, 1 voter noticed a deceased person on the list. In Cahul, a voter observed that 2 people who have recently died of COVID were on the rolls. And also some deficiencies in the elections automated information system were found, 12 cases. Also, we have found unjustified presence of unauthorized persons within the polling stations or within the area of 100 meters, 16 such cases. Just a couple of examples. In Pârjota village, Rishkan, 5 persons without the ID card of an observer were allowed in the polling station. 2 of them said that they represent a contender. The others are were not identified, and they said that the ID cards will be brought soon, and the PEB chairperson allowed them to enter. Polling station from Ednez Goleny, at the entrance into the polling station, the mayor of the commune is discussing with the voter. It is not known whether he was campaigning or doing something else. In the polling station in Khrubovets and Illinois, between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., representative of contender was present within the area of 100 meters from the polling station, and he was discussing with observers and PEB members. Polling station 32, Florești, Gura Kamenci, the mayor came to the polling station and stayed there for about 5 minutes. Polling station number 4, Sholdanest Alchidar, the presence near the polling station for about 20-30 minutes of a local councillor of a contender, and who also was the mayor previously for 2 mandates. Polling station 8, Rezina, a person after voting stayed near the polling station and discussing with voters. After a police officer told him not to do this, she left. Presence of advertising materials and panels within the area of 100 meters, 24 cases. We also have 36 cases of taking a picture of the ballot paper and other violations of the vote secrecy. I'll give you just a couple of examples. In polling station 39 or Ivancha, the voting booth was placed in a way that PEB members could see for whom they were voting. In Germany, a group of voters were discussing about the voting options being already in the voting booth. None of the bureau members noticed the incident. Chisinau Rishkani voter took a picture of the ballot paper. When told by the PEB chairperson to remove the picture was removed. Regarding ballot papers that were not distributed to PEB members, not storing them in safe places. For example, in France, they are stored without being securized. Ireland, Dublin, the ballot papers are under the table of the secretary. Nobody is monitoring them. In Italy, the same situation. Ireland, at 7 and 10 minutes a.m., the ballot papers that were not distributed were placed in a bag on the floor without any supervision. We have 9 cases of ballot boxes not sealed correctly. I will not give examples in this regard. Unjustified voting of 2 or more people in a group. We have 15 such cases. Failure to comply with anti-COVID measures. 1 case in Tudora, polling station 31, Stefan Voda, and other 2 cases that are in miscellaneous category. Polling station 140, Chisinau, where at 10 and 10 a.m. at the polling station a voter came with a newborn child in the stroller, saying that due to COVID pandemic, the PEB chairperson did not allow to enter with the child. The lady said that she cannot give the child without any supervision outside, and asked to write a complaint. The chairperson told her to go home to write the complaint and then come back. The lady did not vote. Polling station 46, Germany, Berlin, at 12 at around noon, Promo-LEX observed and noticed that a member of the electoral bureau was putting the ballot papers in the ballot box. So these are the findings. As I was saying at the first press conference, we used to hope, and we are still hoping, that we'll have fewer findings, meaning fewer incidents in the following press releases, but we'll see what happens. The next press release will be published at 7:30 p.m. We will not have a press conference. Only the press release delivered to mass media. It will also be placed on the Promo-LEX website and social network. If you have questions, please ask them. Thank you very much, and we'll be waiting to meet you tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. when we will present the results of the parallel vote counting.